M. I noticed that we only have about 30 people, not even quite 30 people in our room right now. So if you don't mind, I'm going to wait about 2 more minutes or so. We have nearly 100 people registered. So we just want to make sure that we give people time to get into our room. So we will start momentarily.
Gail, I'm going to go ahead and send just a reminder communication. I realized I didn't send the day of one, so just make sure everybody gets in here on time.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Again, we'll start momentarily. We're just giving a few more minutes because we have almost 100 people registered. So we wanted to make sure we were able to do another reminder and that people were able to get into the meeting.
Yep. And I did just go ahead and get those communications sent out, Gail, and it looks like we have a good few more people joining in right now.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, I want to welcome you to our spring drug testing forum, and I'm particularly excited about the forum because it's a little different from what we typically do in our drug testing training or drug testing forum. My name is Gail Stowers, and I am the Senior Policy Specialist and the Statewide Drug Testing Coordinator. Latasha West is the manager of our Policy and Compliance Unit, but she couldn't be here today. So let me go ahead and get started in terms of to discuss our objectives for today. Our objective is basically to have you as an HR attendee participate in our first ever interactive discussion, which will be based on our case studies. And of course, the case studies are related directly to substance abuse testing or directly to issues that we have actually seen or had questions about as it pertains to our substance abuse testing program. So I want to start by having Jacob to send the first poll question. And this poll question is, what challenges have you had in your drug testing program? So if you give Jacob just a second, he'll upload that poll question and we'll see, take a look at some of the issues that have been occurred.
And I do have that poll out right now. And so far it looks like we've gotten a pretty even distribution. So a lot of people are saying it's a lot of US drug testing situations. We've got about a third of people saying that it's a lot of unique gray area situations and 22% refusals. And we do have a little bit of other in there as well.
Okay, thank you.
And for anybody who puts other, just please feel free to drop your specific responses in the chat, and I can go ahead and tell Gail about those.
Yes. And Jacob, are we not able to get it to pop up on the screen?
It should have popped up. I'm seeing the responses come in here.
Okay. I can't see any of the responses on my screen, so I just thought I would ask about that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, in that case, I'll just make sure to keep you up to date on what's going on in those.
Okay.
And we do have one response here for the other category that says that they are not currently utilizing the drug testing program at DeKalb.
Okay. Thank you. So one of the reasons for this poll question is because we're just curious what type of issues you have been experiencing in your agency. And it also helps us with creating discussion among the HR professionals and the agency drug testing coordinators. And this helps with us planning our future drug testing forum. Okay, so perhaps you're asking, okay, well, why are you doing case studies now? Well, our case studies will allow you to become actively engaged in the resolution of drug testing issues that have occurred in the past. So we thought that this would be a great way to engage the audience or the participants in discussions. And it also allows you to hear what other agencies are doing in terms of handling their drug testing program and how they might have a different view from what you are currently doing as a drug testing coordinator. I want to start by giving you some instructions in terms of how today's interactive session will work. So first, we'll post a case scenario in the chat so that you will be able to have your individual copies, or you can screen share in your breakout rooms. And we are going to place you in breakout rooms to discuss the scenarios that we put on the screen. Each scenario will have a set of questions for each group to answer. And you will be in groups of approximately 10 people per breakout room. So again, each scenario will have questions for you to discuss and answer as a group. You may want to select a spokesperson once you've had your discussion, because I will be asking for volunteers to share what their discussion was and what their resolutions were as it pertains to the scenarios. While you're in your breakout room, you'll have 12 minutes to decide on how to respond to the scenario. And then we'll bring you back together as one group after approximately 12 minutes. And we'll conduct another quick poll to see how you as an individual would handle the scenario in your agency. And at that point, I'll discuss the poll results, and we will also ask for volunteers from the groups to share what their discussion was and their decision on how HR should handle a particular scenario. So are there any questions before we get started?
No questions so far, Gail, and I do have the scenario ready to send whenever.
Okay, so if you would go ahead and send the scenario out, Jacobs, or post it in the chat.
All right, I have that done.
Okay, so the first case study involves an employee named Sally Daggone, and she's employed with the ABC agency as an executive assistant in Atlanta, Georgia. And she was accidentally sent for a random drug test at Concentra. So I'm going to let you read over the full case scenario. And then once Jacob puts you in your group, if you look at the bottom of your scenario, there are 4 primary questions that you will need to discuss in this 12-minute period. Okay, so Jacob, would you go ahead and send everyone to their breakout room?
You got it.
Thank you.
It's away. Okay, I can walk through it. Let's see. Where's the chat? I don't have it in my chat. Okay, I have a group 4.
Thank you.
Okay, Jacob, I believe I admitted some additional people. You may want to check.
Yep, I think we're all back together.
Okay, so I am interested in hearing about your discussion and what decisions you made. But before we do that, we are going to send out a poll to get some individual responses, and then I'll have you all volunteer as a group. I think we have about 5 groups so that you can share what you came up with. Jacob, if you could load the poll, please, for Sally.
So the poll is open now. So let me see here.
And notice that you
Okay.
have 3 questions in the poll, so please respond to all 3.
Okay, when it popped up, it said, for polls, it says our services aren't available right now. We're working to restore all services as soon as possible. Please check back soon.
Oh, wow, is that for everyone? Or,
I'm able to see it.
Me
Oh,
too.
okay.
okay,
I'm
you all
able to see
can't
it.
see it?
Okay.
I can see.
I'm fine.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Mm. Mm-mm.
So far, Gail, we have a lot of, for the first question, we have a lot of no's. We have 53% no, 27% other. The rest is yes. Second question, the majority answered yes, but she should not have been sent for drug testing. And for the last question, the majority answered other for that one.
Okay.
Okay,
And so
so
for the third question, what response did we get?
okay, it looks like there might be some issues with some people having access to the poll, so I'm sorry about.
Okay. Okay, so I can see the chat now. I took my PowerPoint down. So for question 2, did Sally violate the conditions of the directive by showing up at the collection site 3 hours later? It appears that the majority answered yes, but she should not have been sent for drug testing. And then the third question, Sally also left the collection site early. Should she have been terminated under refusal? And majority said other, but I'm not seeing a response under other. But
Yes,
we have 30. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm sorry about the poll, everyone, but if everybody can just type their responses in the chat in the meantime, that would be really helpful as well, just so we can get an idea of where everybody's at.
Okay. And again, that's if you're responding to other. So just put the question number and then other and whatever your additional response is. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, are you able to see the other responses, Jacob?
Yes, one person asked if we could get
Come
the
in.
questions again. So just in case the poll is having issues for everybody, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly type those in to the chat for everybody.
Okay. And Chris, if you could mute yourself, please. Okay, so let's discuss, or let's hear from some of the groups, and I'll let you all volunteer. Please give your name and tell us what your group discussion was and how you decided. Any volunteers, or should I call on someone?
I'll start off volunteering. This is Joanna Weathers with DHS.
Okay.
And our group's discussion was a clear to a point. There were some unknowns. There was no verification from that the young lady contacted HR to verify what her friend said. She didn't get clear. She didn't get a clear resolve of whether she should have been there or not. And with that being said, she was directed to go, so she should have gone. She should have stayed until the testing was done. And for the 3 hours, the policy states that you're to go based on the directive. The directive told her to immediately go. And
Okay.
so then, should she have been terminated for refusing based on the scenario? If she went and she did not stay, and so that is a refusal under the policy, and she should have been terminated. Now, we were going based on that scenario. We
Okay,
all
sure.
agreed that she probably shouldn't have been there.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Mhm.
Another group?
And we did
What
get a
was-
few other responses as well, too. So a lot of people, it's very much dependent on the agency's policy in terms of the general consensus of the chat.
Okay. So how did some of the other groups decide? Chris, whose group were you in?
Yeah, I didn't catch the number, but yeah, that and a lot of it we thought depended on what paperwork you gave her prior to going. If she was notified that a refusal, that leaving the location would be considered a refusal. Um, at the end, since she wasn't supposed to be there anyway, um, it may be a refusal, but we probably have a hard time pulling a dismissal on her and defending that. Um, the workers' comp or in the court of law, since she wasn't supposed to be there anyway. So we probably look at some other type of counseling or discipline. Let's see. And
Okay.
and they're probably, yeah, probably something needs to be said to the HR person she spoke with who didn't send her to the right party to verify. Now, granted, she was wrong to just up and leave, but yeah, that should have been straightened out or gotten to the right person.
Okay, good. Another group? Cynthia, were you in a group other than the one with Chris and Jonana?
Yes, ma'am. I was in group 5. We were kind of torn too, only because like one of the other attendees were basically saying we knew that she didn't, she wasn't supposed to have been drug tested. So we were just kind of like torn on in regards to dismissing her. However, one of the things we did say was she should have gotten clear instructions before actually getting to the site. So therefore, once she received those instructions, if she needed clarity, she should have gotten it up front.
Mhm.
And not, she should have just followed the directives in front of her. She shouldn't have been late. She should have ensured that she met the directives if she didn't have any regards, right? But we would have a hard time dismissing her being that she wasn't supposed to be drug tested anyway.
Okay, very good. So let's take a look. I want to quickly go over point out some things. Let me screen share here. Okay, so apparently I hit a different share than screen share. Let me just go back. Okay, can you all see the screen, my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so should Sally have been sent for drug testing? No, Sally should not have been sent for drug testing. She's not working in a high-risk position. That really should have been something that was caught in HR by one of HR personnel or by the drug testing coordinator who typically prepares the chain of custody form. So she should not have been sent for drug testing. Actually, I'll show you in a few minutes a case that occurred back in 1990, and it was a group of employees who worked for government, which included state employees, that actually filed a lawsuit because they were wrongfully drug tested. Now, keep in mind that what is applicable to corporate America is very different from what's acceptable or applicable for state government. Did Sally violate the conditions of the directive by showing up three hours late? Absolutely, she violated the directive. And is it considered a refusal since Sally left the collection site? So here's the thing. Technically, yes, it was considered a refusal. Technically, She should have went immediately. So based on this case scenario, because Sally should not have been sent for drug testing, termination policy decided that termination should not be one of the options. Now, some agencies may say, okay, well, we're still going to punish her, and maybe they're going to punish Sally, write her up for insubordination. But again, you want to be concerned about Sally's constitutional rights of search and seizure being violated. So what we encourage you to do is have a conversation with your legal team about this, because this is something you want to address. And again, this case scenario was based on us receiving a phone call from the agency. And ultimately, the agency decided, after talking to their legal counsel, that they would not terminate that employee because the employee was not in a high-risk position, nor was the employee in a position where a situation where they were being sent for reasonable suspicion. So here's a copy of, we'll be sending out this PowerPoint, but it basically gives you a scenario, a synopsis of what happened in this case. So state employees can only be sent for drug testing if they're in a high risk or safety sensitive position, and if they are being sent for reasonable suspicion. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, I didn't finish. Is it a violation that Sally reported to Concentra 3 hours late? Of course, we already addressed that, which is, okay, she was insubordinate. She can't choose when she's going to go to drug testing, because had this been a high-risk position, that would have been an issue. She left the collection site early. So again, you may not want to terminate her, but have a conversation with her and determine whether or not this is a situation for insubordination. And again, we suggest that you go ahead and think through these particular situations so that when they occur, you already have a policy on hand to handle these situations. Let's go ahead for time purposes and jump into case study 2, which is Jimmy Dean. This one should go a little bit quicker. Again, Jacob will provide you with a copy of the case study if you can't open it up. And notice that you have a part 1 and part 2. And we're only going to give you about 8 minutes to have a discussion about the Jimmy Dean case. And this is dealing with partially dealing with reasonable suspicion. Okay, Jacob, if you could go ahead and put people in their groups.
Working on it now.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I'm just assigning a couple of extra people to the room, people who joined, and then the room should open in a second.
Okay, thank you. And again, while you're waiting to be placed in your room, please go ahead and read through the scenario as well as the questions.
Oh,
Okay. And it looks like it says view lobby, but I'll let you handle that, Jacob. Okay. So Jacob, if you would go ahead and upload the poll questions for Jimmy Dean.
Sure thing. I will get the poll launched, and for everybody who's not able to see the poll for whatever reason, I will copy the questions into the chat for you. Ready?
I think question 1 and 2 were the same, weren't they? Oh, no, they're not. Thank you.
Okay, give it another couple of seconds. And you only uploaded part 1, correct, Jacob?
Yes, just part 1
Okay.
for right now.
Okay, good.
And so far, it seems to be a mostly even split between all the answers. It's about 25% on each one.
Oh, yeah, that's unusual, but yes. So this makes for a good discussion. So let's talk a little bit about part 1. Let me hear your group discussion. Any volunteers to go first?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and speak up. Our first thought was
Okay.
you need to follow your
We
reasonable
did.
suspicion
Okay, we did.
standards. Define,
Okay.
a manager and another manager who
Okay.
have been trained in reasonable suspicion, and they can go and take a look at.
Okay, hold on one second, Chris.
Okay.
If you could mute yourself if you're not speaking, because we're hearing a conversation in the back. Thank you. Okay, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying you need to follow your.
Are you still there, Chris? I don't know if it's my screen that froze or if it's somebody else's.
No, it's not your screen, Gail.
Okay.
I think Chris cut out.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other groups that want to share?
Our group was similar to what I think Chris was gonna say. We wouldn't go off the word, we wouldn't go off the well, we would take the information from the 2 employees, but have a manager that's gone through the training actually go to the employee and to see if they can observe anything that would warrant a reasonable suspicion test. And then if so, if they do detect anything, then they can go ahead and send them for reasonable suspicion testing.
Okay, good. Any others? Any other groups that want to respond?
It's Tanya, and we really didn't identify who would speak, but to add to that, before we sent someone out, we would have to begin the interactive conversation after a supervisor has observed it and possibly may think there is an issue. We would have the conversation on whether there are any medical conditions, new medications, something of that sort. And depends on that response, whether we would send them out for drug testing, or if we need to talk about medical documentation regarding an illness. If he says he's not taking any new medications or medical illness that he's dealing with, we would send him. But if not, we probably would do a reasonable suspicion test. And I don't know, are we going through the part 2?
We're about to send out a poll and do part 2 as well.
Okay.
So thank you, Tanya, for that response. And Jacob, if you would go ahead and send part 2. Polls.
Sure. I'm launching it now, and then I will put the questions in the chat for anybody who can't see it.
And remember, part 2 deals with Jimmy coming forward and self-disclosing that he has an issue.
All right, and the first question on this one, it's the same question as the last one, but it's a lot more decisive this time because of the self-disclosure aspect of it.
Okay, and it looks like on question 1, the majority response was no, because Jimmy already self-disclosed. Do you send Jimmy to EAP? Majority said yes, he would be sent to EAP. And are there any other actions that need to be taken? Here, there was a yes, but we did not, or I don't see anything under other. Did you have anything listed under other?
So I did receive a message in the chat. It says that he needs to find treatment and proceed successfully. If he was not sent for the reasonable suspicion test previously, he should be allowed EAP. So that was a couple of the responses.
Okay, thank you. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you confront Jimmy about allegations based on what other employees have said? Of course not, because you cannot send someone for reasonable suspicion testing based on employees. It doesn't matter if it's for employees. The only thing you can do is have a member of leadership to observe them, whether that's Jimmy's supervisor or HR. And if Jimmy's supervisor is not available, is there a person that's next in charge to the supervisor, or HR may have to actually take the time to observe Jimmy's behavior? Are there any other actions to be taken? Well, the supervisor, again, and or HR may need to actually observe Jimmy Dean before doing anything else. The next slide that I have is indicators of possible drug and alcohol misuse. Just a reminder, you want to keep in mind that odor, it could be odor from marijuana, because in today's time, marijuana really stinks. Might smell alcohol. Physically, are they staggering? Are their pupils dilated? In terms of speech, is it slurred speech? Behavior, are they irate? More defensive than usual, even argumentative? And then absent in terms of performance, are they performing? Are they able to keep up with the work? Be able to concentrate long enough or be still long enough to actually complete the work that's required. I also want to remind everyone that we do have, if you don't have in your agency already, we do have a reasonable suspicion testing checklist on our webpage. So to the HR personnel, I will say, make sure that you, all supervisors have a copy, even if it's a virtual copy. Make sure all supervisors have a copy of the reasonable suspicion checklist so that they can look over it, be aware of the behavior indicators, appearance indicators, body odor, all 5 of what we just covered. In terms of self-disclosure, do you send Jimmy for reasonable suspicion testing? There are agencies that will go ahead and have Jimmy to test anyway, but it's not a requirement. I mean, technically, the fact that he admitted to using drugs or having a drug problem is enough to proceed. Do you send Jimmy to EAP? Absolutely, because if Jimmy refuses, then Jimmy's going to be terminated. He must be sent to a substance abuse professional at EAP. And of course, we do have a statewide EAP program available. Are there any other actions that need to be taken? Well, once Jimmy has been evaluated, he completes his program. It may be a 30-day inpatient program, 30-day outpatient treatment program. Jimmy must sign an agreement. He must take a return to work test first, which must be negative. If it's positive, Jimmy's going to be terminated. Jimmy will then be subject to follow-up test after signing an agreement that he's willing to be subject. And that follow-up test can be up to 6 times a year, and it will be a random follow-up test. Any questions regarding the Jimmy Dean case? Okay, well, I did say that, promise that we would keep it at an hour. We are 2 minutes over time, but that was cutting it close. But we really appreciate you all attending the case studies. I asked that, Jacob, if you would also put the link to the survey in the chat room. or the chat box. And those of you who want to use the QR code, that would be great as well. We will continue to have or host our quarterly drug testing forum. So if there's something in particular that you would like to see in the future for the forum, then please let us know. We'll try to keep the forum down to an hour, but sometimes there's a lot of discussion involved, and so we may extend it by 15 minutes or up to 30 minutes, depending on if we have speakers or depending on the specific activity that's involved. But I do want to say we greatly appreciate you attending the quarterly drug testing forum for the spring. If you have any additional questions at any time, feel free to contact me. I have my contact information here. And otherwise, I'm going to say thank you again and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. And Gail, I stopped the recording and there are a couple of questions